Johnny Wilson has been a true highlight to start off the spring.
I think that I didn't post a video on social because I wasn't sure if we could or not, but just watching him warm up on Saturday and just, again, use the word fluid for how big he is, all 6'7", and how low he could get his bend, and running a drill, turning and going. There was no wasted movement. It was like a guy who was 6'1". Surprising. So thank you, Arizona State, if things continue to unfold, as they have. But he's probably been wide receiver 1 for three days.
Hey guys, it's Terrence Mann. You're listening to Hear the Spear, presented by Noles Game Day. Go Noles.
Hey, what's up? This is Peter Ward, aka T-Dub, in the house. We're listening to Hear the Spear, presented by Noles Game Day. Go live, go Noles.
Hi, this is Charlie Ward, and you're listening to Hear the Spear, Go Noles.
This is Terrell Buckley. You're listening to Hear the Spear, presented by Noles Game Day. No Bloody.
But perhaps better known as the greatest corner to ever step on a football field, Deion Primetime Sanders.
Great Deion Sanders, my brother. What's going on, man? I could wake up to that greeting every day, man. That was awesome.
Hello, Noles fans. This is former Seminole Derek Brooks, and you're listening to Hear the Spear, presented to you by Noles Game Day.
James Wilder Jr. What's going on, James?
Thanks for having me on. SSOD, Florida State or Die, and go Noles.
William Bar None Floyd.
Gentlemen, what's up?
What is happening, guys? This is Logan Robinson from Hear the Spear, presented to you by NoleGameDay.com. We are here on a rainy but exciting Thursday because spring camp has sprung here in Tallahassee, and it feels good to have the pads back on. The practices are hot and chirpy, guys talking trash to one another. Some transfers, impressing early freshmen. You got A.J. Duffy throwing the ball. We are here. Spring football has begun. Looking forward to another big day tomorrow as the Noles go through their final practice before spring break. But with me this evening, we have Nate Greer, our lead recruiting insider, and Dustin Lewis, our lead writer and editor. It's been a busy, crazy week for everybody around on here. Nate was in town. D-Lou was out by the moor, I think, like 24 hours in total during the weekend, and Nate was out there too on Saturday. Gentlemen, how are we feeling? Have we recovered fully, or are we still still struggling?
I'm back at it, bro. I'm ready to do it again.
What you
coming back this weekend?
Nah, I'll be back.
Okay,
I'll be back for spring game. We already discussed.
Have a long time to recoup then.
No, man. We're back to work.
Oh, me too.
Oh yeah.
All week.
I wouldn't consider your job work. You just
oh man.
I wouldn't consider your job work. You just hand people food.
Yeah. Okay. You just teach people control alt delete.
I'm fixing technological issues that could take down law firms over here. So
yeah, you're like, hey, just unplug it, plug it back in. $100.
It's really compelling.
Mm-hmm. Tough work.
It's also a good description of what I do, though.
That is true. That's probably all you tell people. But yes, we are in spring football. We have a big time recap of recruiting too. Dustin has got a lot of info, including Nate. I think we've got, I don't know, I can't keep up with how many articles we're putting out a day. At least 5 minimum of recruiting articles we're putting out with interviews because the guys got in contact with a lot of them in person and over the phone. So some great interviews that are going out. We'll recap some of them later on in the show. But first, we got to start off.
I think we talked to almost every kid.
I think so. I don't think one. I don't think one slipped away. One almost did, but
like not. I think minus like 5 or 6. I think we talked to almost everyone there.
We got the important ones. There was a couple that snuck through the cracks, but I've been hitting up guys throughout the week and getting on the phone with them. So yeah, we pretty much covered all of our bases. Though did a really good job.
It was a lot, man. That was wild. We're sitting out there writing articles, got to jump up, get an interview, and then take picture, make sure you're getting. Then we had practice going on Saturday. Before we get started with everything, everybody like the video on YouTube, subscribe. We're on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. Hit the subscribe button. because we've got a lot of content coming to you guys. I will say before we get started, though, we will have a break next week. It's spring break, so not going to have a lot of stuff going on. Florida State doesn't have a practice, so we won't be jumping on here. This will be our one break that I think we've had since Christmas time. So we'll have a week break off, then we'll be back. And
I'll come on
will be
and
back
do
in
my own
action.
podcast.
Yeah, we'll give Nate the reins over here, and he could just do whatever he wants and see what
I'm
happens.
taking a week off. So.
You sure you want to do that?
Oh God, no! I'm not giving you that. We're gonna make sure I change all the passwords times 10. But crazy weekend. Let's get started. People want to know what happened in spring camp. So let's get started. So Florida State,
Tell them.
I'm ready, baby. I'm ready. If you were in the spaces last night, hey, we might be doing it again tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that.
I didn't get an invitation.
100 people, baby, yesterday. First spaces.
Nice.
Twitter clout, man. We got to get Nate in there too, because I feel like having y'all in there to do a little discussion after practices wouldn't hurt anybody. I think.
We didn't tell you.
Loved
you
it.
Just did it.
Just did it, and somehow it did well. Yeah, I told the Discord though. But yeah, on Saturday we got to see Nate was in town. Of course, Dustin was there. Noah, Maddox. We were all at the first practice. But during all of that, bus loads of recruits, including former Noles, were in town. A list of some former Noles: PJ Williams. You had Joshua Kando, J. Rob was also here. Asante Samuel Jr., Dustin Hopkins,
Gabe Neighbors,
Leroy Butler,
Leroy Butler,
Everett Bound.
Lamont Green Sr.
Yep. Marvin Wilson also was here, which I think that's really saying something to Mike Norvell in that relationship there.
Rick
and what they've been able to. Yeah, there was a lot of former Noles, and I'm sure I'm missing some, but that instantly brought in a lot of energy. I don't know about you guys, but it just felt like almost like a spring game. It just everybody high spirited, beautiful weather, and ended up being great for not only just for the practice vibes, but also on the recruiting front, which we'll get into with Florida State landing a defensive lineman. But going in and, watching the first bit of it, you can definitely see some guys with size that have been put on, definitely in the trenches. I think offensive, defensive line. I think there's still definitely maybe some work to be done, but there is some size. Definitely with, we won't jump too far to Wednesday's practice with the pads on, but when you see one with pads, it's extremely significant to see guys like Joshua Farmer, Nate, who, we're both pretty high on. I think the whole podcast is, and the future for him, not only this year, but the next, is stepping up. But he looks like a number 2 guy behind Robert Cooper and Fabio. I love it. That, I don't know what Coach Storms has on him, but he is putting on some serious size, Nate.
Yeah, and he's moving really well too. The thing that stood out first and foremost was that, like you, I thought that the team, physically looks much better. And that seems to be a consensus for a lot of people who are there and have been there the first three practices, is that, the team looks better, physically, the practices have been better. It's just everything is better from the previous year. The competitiveness, the pace of the practice, the sharpness, going back and forth. It seems a little bit different, and it's in a positive way. And yeah, it's practice 1, and a lot left to happen. I haven't been there for pads. Pads are on now. That changes the game for some people, but had to be pretty, pleasantly surprised with what I saw, with the transfers and how they were doing and how they were seemed like they've adapted pretty well overall. And then you see guys like, Joshua Burrell, who look pretty damn good, so there's a lot to be excited about, over the next few weeks to see how everything unfolds.
Yeah, going back to that early bit of practice, now that we're able to share some videos and pictures, it feels a lot better because we're able to talk about these things to you guys, but now you actually get to see pictures. But first off, Trey Benson, extremely impressive in person with the size, but throughout the last couple of practices, you get to see how he's got some shiftiness, but his explosion too with the size. He's by far probably him and CJ Campbell, size-wise, are your 2 big backs right now on Florida State's roster. But seeing Benson fully healthy, no brace on, nothing, is definitely a good sign to those people who were going crazy on Twitter and losing their minds, and Facebook crowd too. Shout out to the Facebook crowd, but going wild that they landed him.
I understand it. I understand people concerned about the injury and all that kind of stuff, but they're doing it the smart way. They're not throwing them right in the fire. They're easing them into it. But if you look at the kid is very well put together, and the runs that he did have, like you said, man, he's a lot smoother than I expected, and he gets that second level very quickly.
Yeah,
you can see the speed is still there.
Yeah, I think what people forget is he was a stud in Mississippi coming out of high school, one of the fastest players in that state, if not the entire country, in his recruiting class. And yeah, he suffered that devastating knee injury, but now nearly 2 years removed from that injury, that's normally when you start to see guys get back to their normal selves. And, it's looking early on, we're kind of seeing that with Benson. He's definitely above the standard that some thought he was going to be at coming in.
Yep. No, he's been definitely impressive. Something that we talked about quite a bit inside of our spring practice observations inside the Discord, but definitely a good start for him. I think too, we'll jump into some guys that are jumping early. Let's talk about two freshmen that Mike Norvell last night after practice. Yeah. After the practice last night, Mike Norvell was very high on them. That's Sam McCall and Azare Thomas. I mean, so far, so good from those guys. And we got to see them in coverage a few times. Definitely yesterday because it was raining. And so everybody was inside the IPF, which I got to say, I'm not going to complain about that. I wish all practices could be, but it won't be. But that was nice to be able to see in person how tight coverage that Sam McCall and Azare Thomas were delivering. But those have been two guys definitely lined it up, definitely as Azare Thomas. And looking at his body frame in person, too, you can tell just like how Jalen came in as a freshman. The long arms, the legs, the length that he has. And he made plays, multiple PBUs yesterday because of his length and being able to rip the ball out of the wide receiver's hand.
I thought it was interesting listening to Jamie Robinson after the first practice talking about those two freshmen and thinking how he thought they could be like really elite as safeties. But the coaches like him at corner. But man, Thomas, might be the early 3D revelation. The fact that this guy, he's busting ass, man. Like he looks like he's a second, third year, physically looks the part of a second, third year guy. And then, but also he's holding his own, man. Like I thought he was a good player, but I'm pleasantly surprised and very happy that, he is as competitive and as good as at corner that he has been. And then McCall, he's for the last 3 years been one of the most, gifted athletes in the state of Florida. He's always was going to be, I think, a quick transition. So, two freshmen that are going to look to be immediate impact.
Yeah, and to your point on Thomas, that was one thing I really noticed whenever we were at the tour of duty session last week. His frame is farther along than we thought. Physically, it already looks like he can compete at this level. He's got a pretty long wingspan, which is only going to help him out in coverage. And like you noted on Nate, his competitive nature, that entire session I was at, him and McCall were competing and going at each other the entire time. It's one thing to come in as a talented true freshman. You can't teach that mentality, that grind mentality that he and McCall both have. And it's only going to make them better and allow them to impact that defense earlier in their respective careers.
Yeah, those two guys are grinding.
Yeah, Thomas is a lot quicker than I thought too. He's very shifty.
His hips are good for how his length.
Yeah, for being a 6'2" corner, he's very, very fluid.
Mm-hmm. No, he's impressed very early, and the coaching staff starting to give him some more early looks against some good competition. He and Deuce Spann, who I'll mention a little bit later, but he and Deuce Spann went at it yesterday, and both guys kind of 50-50 on each other, but really good battle there because Deuce Spann, the length and size that he kind of has a frame of Tamarion Terry, just has some good speed on him, but the size was a good chance for Azare Thomas to show his abilities to stay stuck to that wide receiver and also use his length to cause a couple of PBUs like I had mentioned. But I wanted to talk about the guy that has completely shocked me, and I wasn't expecting this, and I don't think maybe anybody on this podcast was, and someone that's been lighting up the practices back-to-back days is Johnny Wilson, the Arizona State wide receiver transfer. I texted y'all multiple times. I'll text y'all a couple times throughout the practices, and I'll say, something highlighting coming from it. And man, Johnny Wilson, I think I've talked about the most, just about his size, his speed, and he runs some of the prettiest routes too, which is extremely impressive. He's putting on some pounds, but he still has a speed. But probably his biggest talent is taking down contested catches. I don't think I've seen him drop one yet. There's one, I think, on Saturday that was just over the head. There was no chance there. And he's 6'7", so there's definitely going to be some chances for him to grab some, but it was just over the head. That was the only, I think, ball that maybe going in his direction and quote maybe that he could have dropped. But other than that, I mean, these one-on-one battles he's winning, and it's extremely impressive to watch. I know on Mondays he had a back-to-back series of catches, which was really impressive because they were some solid gains. As being credentialed, we can't say depth, we can't say injuries, and we can't say maybe what routes these wide receivers are specifically using. That's why we got to keep it kind of generic here so we don't get in trouble. But just take it for what it will. These are some nice gain catches from Johnny Wilson, and he did it again yesterday on a really physical one-on-one battle with a defender, which had really good coverage on him, and ended up bringing the ball down. But Johnny Wilson has been a true highlight to start off the spring.
I think that I didn't post a video on social because I wasn't sure if we could or not, but just watching him warm up on Saturday and just, again, use the word fluid for how big he is, all 6'7", and how low he could get his bend, and running a drill, turning and going. There was no wasted movement. It was like a guy who was 6'1". Surprising. So thank you, Arizona State, if things continue to unfold, as they have. But he's probably been wide receiver one for three days. Probably been the most consistent. Keyshawn Houghton's looked pretty good. Ontario Wilson's looked pretty good. I like Spawn a lot. I think he's going to be really good for FSU at some point in his career. Even Portier has made a bunch of tough catches, and I think you can tell the competitiveness in that room is definitely lifted. You can tell the guys that have been a part of the program the last few years. You can tell their effort significantly has increased because there's 4 guys coming in that are coming in for spots. And, that's not even talking about, Wright, who more than likely is going to, once he can figure out man coverage, is going to really help this offense too. So.
Yeah, no, I think out of these transfer wide receivers, it's been the Johnny Wilson show, and we'll see whenever, Winston Wright being a full go, maybe later on in camp too, as we can see, he's participating in practices, but, probably still waiting for a full go to him as he was dealing with previous things before he came to Florida State. But he's definitely impressive in size. I'll throw up a video on here, but, Florida State has a true big time competition there at wide receiver. I thought on Wednesday, Deuce Spann had his best day. That was kind of his breakout. You just really saw more confidence in him understanding the system. Maybe he building some understanding of the chemistry and the throws from maybe some of the quarterbacks, but he really was connecting on Wednesday, making some really great grabs down the field. Again, some good coverage on him too. And that's something too, Nate and D-Lou. These balls, these aren't wide open guys. And it's kind of a little bit how we saw on Saturday, although some guys were making, some good runs. If the ball was a little bit ahead of them, that would have probably gone for 6. But since these practices, since Monday and Wednesday, these coverages have been a lot tighter, and it's good for both sides. And you're seeing that. But I mean, you're still got guys like Micah Pittman, who's going to get a lot of burn, I think, definitely this upcoming season. But you can use him as a threat in the slot just because he's got the eyes of a running back. I believe he knows he's got just really patient eyes and understanding just the scheme of things and what's going to develop in a play. And we get to see that during practice. And Terry Wilson, veterans, it's great to see. They know, I'm sure they have a chip on their shoulder with these freshmen, or not these freshmen, but these transfers coming in, competing with them. They know what's on the line here. And Terry Wilson and Keyshawn Helton have had 3 really good practices, but definitely in the last 2 practices, they've been on their game. Definitely shout out to Keyshawn Helton. I thought he had a great day on Wednesday with a beautiful over-the-shoulder catch. Wonderful ball to a dot from A.J. Duffy, which we can probably transition to because I know there's a couple of questions here. But A.J. Duffy, seeing him in person, you can definitely tell. I was a little shocked, I think, Dustin, when we heard on Friday at the luncheon that A.J. Duffy was nearing 230 pounds. I was like, what? How? I was not expecting 230 pounds. Maybe 215, maybe 215. Yeah, that is a big cat. I get to use that. That is a true big cat. But, that was a very pretty throw from A.J. Duffy over to Keyshawn Helton. And you can see
he's very much built like Sam Howell.
Yeah.
Kind of this, I don't want to say squattier, but, just very thick. I think it's the best way for me to put it.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's just 2022. So now if you say thick, then it's going to be clipped. Hold on.
Well,
he's a thick boy.
He's sturdily built. There's that better.
There you go. Yeah, there's a picture I took from the other day.
But he made, I can only speak on what I saw on Saturday. He made a lot of great throws that were dropped. I think his first few reps, first few cycles, he did struggle a little bit. But once he got into a rhythm, he throws a really, really accurate ball. And that's something that, I like coming in with him is that, once it gets full on 11 on 11, full on practices, and you're just watching him, he anticipates really well and he has really good placement of the ball. So, it's going to be interesting to see his development. But from what I saw, as he got going more, he got more comfortable. And you have to expect him to be, super nervous his first college practice.
Mm-hmm. And you're seeing a lot of leadership, too, from Jordan Travis early on in these practices. We saw it Saturday and then definitely on Wednesday whenever I was able to grab a shot of them talking. And Jordan Travis is really emphasizing being a leader to Duffy really early on. And I really like that just because you see the transition of Travis being a really vocal leader now this season and him going now to a very young player, early enrollee, and want him to become a leader. So that just shows kind of I give Travis some big time respect there in what he's doing. He said that he feels the strongest and the fastest he's ever been. And I do think he is quite a bit more explosive. I think
he looks very comfortable in the offense now.
Very comfortable. Sitting back there and reading, not antsy. That's just how development happens. He's not so antsy back there.
He knows it's his job to lose. He's the odds-on favorite and the 99% chance that he's going to be the starter. He's got command of the offense, and he's the unquestioned leader.
VZ, what's good, baby?
It's good.
Welcome in. A little late night work.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm working always till 12, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. We're working the lines. We're always working VZ. Just not Leonard Hamilton anymore. He gets a break.
All right.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
I feel like that was completely unnecessary.
It was kind of a hit there, but I think, Florida State fans are a little triggered right now. There's a question about Joshua Burrell. I think he's looked good. His size is wild. His size is wild. Yeah.
His whole thing has been coming in, can he get separation? And from what I've seen and what I've heard, that has not been a problem for him. He's primarily a slot guy. He's really good at, jab stepping and creating some separation. And, even when guys are on him, he makes those tough catches. I don't think anything within his radius or vicinity he caught. If it's by him, he's catching that ball.
Mm-hmm. I want to note on another player who I think in person is ridiculous. I know I was texting in the group chat yesterday, but Jared Verse, I think, has put on maybe 10, if not 15 more pounds. And which is even scarier, he still has the speed, explosive off the edge. He and McLendon, who Nate, you and I are very high on, D-Mac. The thing with Derek McLendon, he's trimmed down. He's slimmed. Mm-hmm. He's still a lean guy. He's still got the size, but he's definitely slimmed down. I think Verse definitely has more size on him, but sometimes in practice, it's a little unfair with what Verse and number 9 on the other side can do. It's been impressive to watch, but McLendon right now seems like a certified starter for me heading into after this first week. We'll see if anything changes tomorrow.
I'm just going to say, it's going to be tough. Briggs, McLendon, Verse, Fuller's look pretty good. Peyton, again, like we talked about in the, the pre-spring, discussion about defense, you can't replace Jermaine Johnson and Keir Thomas, but you can still have great depth and still have players that make a really big impact on the defense. So looks like they're going to have, maybe 4 to 5 guys that are going to help out very, very, very much for this defense. Verse was killing it.
He was killing that offensive lineman. He was killing that offensive lineman. I mean, it is crazy to see the speed, but that's why yesterday I spent like maybe 20, maybe 30 minutes over there by Coach Odell Higgins, just because I love hearing him coach, and you can usually hear him either way across the practice fields. But going to see him in person, getting to see guys like Daniel Lyons, who has also been a bright spot to start off the spring camp. You get to see Farmer, obviously, Bishop Thomas, who has the calf size. I hate to say it, Nate, but he's got the calves on you, which is Bishop Thomas. I'll ask him tomorrow. If he can comment on that. But yeah.
Yeah, maybe a tape measure. We can have Nate measure his, send over it, and then
19 and a half.
Put it around Bishop Thomas's
19 and a half here.
We'll 19 and a half. All right, so we'll ask FSU's SIDs tomorrow. I'll bring a ruler and say, hey, This is weird. This might be really weird, but I need Bishop to stop.
You need like a thing to tape to like wrap around his leg so you can get you can't wrap a ruler around his leg.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know what to call that, though. What is it called?
Tape measure?
Yeah, I guess.
See, but I know what you mean. Yeah, so maybe we'll ask the SIDs if we can ask for one of those so we can see the size of Bishop Thomas's calf so we can compare it to Nate. But seriously, though, the size is really impressive. And I want to go to a guy.
I think Bishop Thomas is a nose, and I think that Daniel Lyons is a tackle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. He definitely could sit down there, and I think that's how Odell is going to use him. But being him around that group and seeing Fabian Lovett, Robert Coop, I mean, these guys are gigantic. I need to show a picture of Fabian.
I thought Fabian.
These are some big boys. They're not even cats, Nate. These are big boys. I can't even say cat. These are bears
weight too.
Bears.
These are. I don't know if he's dropped weight. Let me.
No.
Maybe bad weight.
No, he looked very, very good.
Did he look like a bear?
Yes.
I thought he looked like a defensive tackle.
That's a bear defensive tackle right there. And Farmer's all the way to the right. And look at Lovett all the way to the left. Goodness gracious. Woo! And then Robert Cooper's Robert Cooper. I mean, so those two are kind of identical to one another. But watching them as leaders, even Jared Jackson, too, who we saw, I think, get into someone's helmet. Was it Sidney Williams' helmet last year during a play where it almost could have been called a flag? Sidney was chirping with another player and held him accountable. You got to see Jared Jackson, Fabian Love, and Robert Cooper, no slacking, and I think Odell holds those leaders to, hold these younger guys, but it was really cool to hear those two, no matter, I felt bad for some of them because, they were kind of like jogging a little bit, but Fabian said, I can't really comment on what he's saying, but he said, you just get over here pretty please. That's what he said. Get here as just really nicely. So, but yeah, there's a question here from Johnny. I don't know who Justice Haynes is. I don't know if that's someone that maybe Nate or Dustin know.
He's a 2023 running back, one of the highest ranked guys in the nation. I actually saw him a little bit at UA Atlanta. He was probably one of the most fluid running backs there. Really well put together frame. But honestly, I don't think he's getting out of the state of Georgia. I think he's going to go. You don't think he's going to go to Georgia? Oh, okay. You think Georgia? Yeah, I think Georgia. He's got an FSU offer, but I don't know the last time he's been around or I've heard his name personally.
Yep. The Maddie show, the vlog. Yeah, Micah and Maddie. Yep. Those, I believe she's been watching some of the practices. So shout out to the vlog over there. And getting a lot of love.
Wait, Maddie's here? Maddie's here. Dude, why didn't you tell me Maddie's here? I'd go to practice. I need an autograph, bro.
What in the world is happening? I didn't know you were the biggest fan. I didn't know you. Are you subscribed to the channel?
I think so.
I don't think so. But Dustin, something that will light up.
Hit the reset button.
Yeah, something that will light up your eyes. Yeah, someone will light up your eyes is Daughtry Richardson had a great day on Wednesday. Dust, I know you had a really tight relationship with him during his recruitment, and I thought he was one of the best newcomer interviews, but he got a lot of praise from Coach Atkins and Norvell yesterday, along with Bless Harris, transfer offensive lineman. But really impressive to see a true freshman, Daughtry Richardson, getting some good reps. And like I said, I was going to talk big guys until the pads came on. And so I went over there too to watch those 3v3s, your one-on-ones, and Daughtry Richardson and Bless Harris won the day with pads on Wednesday on offensive line.
Yeah, definitely love hearing that. Really the thing with Daughtry, just got to keep putting on that weight and that good muscle on his frame because he's got the frame where he can add a lot to it. He's still kind of small right now. That's why he's good. He's coming in here. Yeah, that's why it's good. He's in here learning behind these experienced guys. Came in as an early enrollee to continue working on his body, and he's going to make an impact in the future. I don't think it's going to be this year.
I thought Quishon Sapp looked really good. Completely off. He's out there watching practice.
Mm-hmm.
No, he looked real good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, watching him walk into practice, he's definitely impressive with size. And I knew that too. Got to see him working out.
He said he was like, if I remember, were you sitting there, Dustin? I think he said he was.
No,
he's near 330. Did not look like it at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know it was cool too to see Cam Irving too. Actually, forgot to mention this. Cam Irving was in the house too and got to see.
I said it.
Oh, yeah, Nate said it. I ignored it. Cam Irving was also in the house, but got to see him whenever they were leaving practice, seeing those two talk and conversate, which was really cool to watch. And getting those former Noles, you got this. On Saturday, a lot of them talked after the practice, like PJ Williams talking. There's a question here from Johnny Buggins.
Dennis Briggs is not coming off the bench. He's a starter.
My observation after practice, I don't have him as a starter yet. It might change. Here's the deal with Briggs, and just size wise, he's more almost on the side of a defensive lineman to me than he is a D end right now, which might be surprising unless there's still things that he's changing with his body. He's the size of a D lineman to me right now.
Whether he is starting out at D end or at tackle like last year, Dennis Briggs will be a starter.
Not over Fabian and Robert. So then it goes over to the edge.
He literally started over them last year.
Yes. Whether it is
Fabian Lovett kind of has taken that.
Whether it is defensive end or inside like last year, Dennis Briggs will be a starter. I don't care what you've seen in 3 days.
I know, right? We're talking about a guy that got injured in the fall. Like, he's still getting back to full strength. He's transitioning to a new position. Let's chill out, Logan. Come on, man.
Chill out. Now make sure I need the podcast to remember that nobody on here but me has Verse starting after the spring at the end.
And
not gonna happen.
Great.
It will be McLendon, but I don't have Dennis Briggs right now at the end.
It's a good thing we don't pay you to coach.
I've called some good things. I remember top record last year. Me, remember that. You gotta remember that. And I was very high on Briggs before, so I wouldn't just be saying this to say nothing. It hurts me to say it. It hurts me a little bit, but there's guys ahead of him that
I think.
I wish I could say things. I wish I could say things, but we can't. So now we let Dustin and Nate get
say it.
Prime. No, I don't. I'd like to go to another practice at least. But anyways, yeah, the size difference is definitely impressive. Rodney Hill too has kind of impressed me right away. I didn't know he was that big in person. I had no idea, but his explosiveness. We saw him break up in a couple, Nate, on Saturday. Remember sitting up there and watching, saying, "Ooh, who's 29?" I had to look on the roster sheet there. Say, okay, all right, impressive. I think this might be Mr. Wren throwing a 5-bomb on here. He's always in the show, definitely showing us some love on Twitter and DMs.
Speaking of, Corey Wren was out there, and he was getting a lot of work in the passing game. It looks like that. It was more of a concerted effort to get him reps and to get him involved in the offense. But going back to Hill real quick, he gets that top gear very quickly. I think that's what I was a little bit surprised about. I didn't think he was that quick, that fast.
I didn't realize he was that built.
Yeah, me neither. I did not see that. Jacob, yes, they are in full pads. Norvell played a game with me. He said that they were going to have shells on Wednesday. So, of course, I'm the one over here tweeting that, oh, they're getting shells. And then I got Fabian Lovett here walking in with pads on his pants.
Well, that's what you deserve.
Norvell doesn't like it. That's
Norvell's playing games with me. So
he got you to be fake news.
Fake news, yeah. Hashtag fake news. Maybe let's talk Renardo Green and Damori Tate, two guys that you want to see have a big spring. Number one, Renardo Green, you're high on him, Nate, and you think that he's going to be a true starter this upcoming year. I do think with his spring start, there's definitely a really good chance that happens. But I know Renardo had an interception too to start off spring practices. And then Damori Tate has got into a little click here. Definitely on Wednesday. I thought he had his best practice that he's ever had at Florida State. At least I was there.
If Damori Tate and Travis Shea, realize everything that they can bring to the table, this secondary is going to be really, really good because you have Jamie Robinson, an all-conference guy in the back end. You have Akeem Denton, had a great season. You have Sidney Williams, who's played very well. Renardo Green, who was a starter before he got hurt. Kevin Noles, who's been out there playing out wide. Like Norvell said, they're trying a lot of different personnel in that secondary. I think none of us have any really clue how it's going to all work out. But there's a lot to like what you've seen, and if a guy like Damori Tate figures it out, that's going to be really good for this defense. He's all 6'2", 195.
Yeah, he's got great size on him, and he's always had that. It's just about getting things to click,
and just staying healthy.
Yeah,
best attributes availability, and he hasn't had that yet. So,
yeah, no,
he's never had a spring. True freshman season, COVID knocked it out. Last year, he was on the cart with it in the leg cast or whatever. So this is really his first spring since he got to Florida State.
I still feel really good about my crazy prediction of Amari Cooper being DB1. He looks the part.
You saw that play that he gave Akeem Dent, that tip ball for an interception.
But even watching him on Saturday, I honestly didn't see him give up a reception.
Mm-mm. Yeah, no, and he's put on size too. I think he's put on more size than Noles has.
Mm-hmm. And the staff likes him in Washington. There's a lot to like in that secondary. So gets figured out. It's gonna be a good defense, man.
Cooper hasn't even been on campus a year. You got to remember he was one of the guys that came in July. He wasn't an early enrollee last year, so it was really impressive for him to work his way into the rotation, being with the program for such a short time, and now to get a full off season in the program, it's only going to benefit him. And I really do think he's primed for a breakout sophomore season.
There's a question here: is a defense or offense dominating? Coming off of Wednesday's practice, that's all I'd really maybe evaluated off, because there's actual pads on. But I thought the defense, the defensive line won the day overall against offensive line, but still, who plays being made, it's really 50-50. Definitely when you're looking at one-on-ones or you're looking at 7-on-7. But when you go into the team period, I think the offensive line is still trying to figure out the different pieces that they want in there. But if you look at it, you're dealing with Robert Cooper, Fabian Lovett, Dennis Spriggs, Verse, Quashawn Fuller, McLendon, and then you got guys too like Patrick Payton, who I got a pretty good shot of. He's definitely put on some certain if you're looking at those three, because I think there's always question marks: Sean Bray Jackson, Patrick Payton, and Byron Turner. Out of those three, I do think it's Pat Payne who's put on some significant size. So, but overall, that defensive line,
he's put on like 40 pounds.
Yeah, and
then legit 40 pounds of really healthy weight.
Yeah, no, the defense is most certainly loaded right now in that DB.
But people want to complain about Storms, though. Sorry to cut you off. Mm-hmm. People want to complain about Storms, and I think that you look at him and you look at Farmer, and you look at a guy like Verse, who looks even better. Everyone's got to chill out a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know who it is. That's people that are still complaining about Josh Storm. I get it that we are a cheat. We get to cheat, and we actually get to see these guys. We're next to them. We get to see them with pads on and see the physicality that they bring. So we get to cheat, but just trust us. These things. Not only if you want to look at size, okay, do that. This is now true third year. He had to friggin' send dumbbells to people and shipments during COVID. Had to send supplements. Mm-hmm. Here's a friggin' protein bar for you, gainer, to gain some muscle in your legs, or go over to. When they first started, here's a dumbbell, buddy, go enjoy the pull-ups off the fence.
And damn well, during COVID, how many times were people not working out?
Yeah, there's a reason why it's very, very strict. Look at Dustin. Yeah,
it's a fair point. I'm not a professional athlete though, so thankfully no one's pointing that out for me, except you, asshole.
That camera work, I don't know what happened, but it does look like you're going through some rough internet, VZ. Look at that.
He's struggling hard.
The internet, they already cut off the internet before you moved, D-Lou?
What do you mean? What's wrong with it?
It's like it keeps stalling.
It's stalling, and it's
twice
160p, maybe 480p. You might want to do stop this, maybe restart the camera. Yeah, that might be a good idea. Oh. That's not working. It's making me scared.
That's a nightmare waiting to happen there.
Yeah, no, that's making me scared more than anything, man. How about CJ Campbell? I always love talking about walk-ons that are impressing, but CJ Campbell and Treshaun Ward having a really good day on Wednesday. Ward, whenever he has a chance, he can blow open some runs, as we know. And he's more explosive, I think, than he was last spring, which is scary to think of. But CJ Campbell, a guy to maybe keep an eye on him, maybe potentially earning a scholarship. He had two really, really good runs yesterday, and it's fun to see the whole offensive side run over down the field to go celebrate with them. But running backs, and Toa Philly, people might be sleeping on him too, but he broke open 1-2 yesterday. But yeah, those three impressed, but the two up front there, Ward and Campbell had a really good day on Wednesday, which is great. I'm trying to get through majority of the positions tied in, nothing too crazy there. Who am I missing the name? I'm missing a name. Courtney. Courtney had a really good, what was that, Monday? Yeah, Monday. He had a really good day down the field, made a grab inbounds deep, made a wonderful catch. Might have been catch of the day. But nothing too crazy flashing from that tight end group right now. There's a question about Shaheem Brown. He's made a play, but nothing too significant just yet. Still another really young guy.
Looks like he's going to be the primary backup to Robinson,
Mm-hmm.
I think that, that's where he fits.
If we were going to predict a backup quarterback, and this is still crazy early, but we do love you, Miss Carroll, so we got to answer it.
AJ Duffy.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to give a pick, it
has to happen.
Yeah, I do think Duffy's going to burn into getting some
no
second team reps pretty early.
Anyone else, but for the betterment of this team and program, Duffy needs to have that second spot locked in at the end of the spring. In my opinion.
And I think maybe Rodemaker holds it through the end of spring, but by what we've seen so far, it looks like Duffy's going to have a real good chance to take it by fall.
Mm-hmm. And you can see Jordan Travis very hands-on, Norvell too. A lot of reps, even after their periods, they're talking and going over things of missed reads and maybe different scheme, missed stuff going on. So definitely is getting some chances, and he will continue to do that. I do certainly believe. And he, like I said, maybe had the throw of the day going from a beautiful over-the-shoulder throw to Keyshawn Helton, which was just a beautiful snag, just a dot. Beautiful.
Gino English throws a really good ball.
Yeah. No, he can be a depth piece. He sure can.
Yeah, that would be dire straits if you got that to that point.
Yeah, if that happens, then I don't know if I can handle it. I'm gonna have another natty ice wall, just like what Willie Taggart did to me.
I mean, for a walk on, he's a walk on,
Yeah,
but like he throws a really good ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he's like to have there for depth. He's great to have. So there's definitely a good amount of quarterbacks. I do think still after the spring they're going to look at bringing someone in with hopeful college experience. Let's jump into some.
See about that.
Oh, Dustin's got the sauce. I got to mute Nate every time he yawns. This is like 8 yawns. Should we be worried? You need oxygen?
I don't think they're going to look for
another
quarterback, and unless Duffy and Rodemaker severely underperform.
Correct.
Right now, I think it's going to stick as is.
I think they're going to have to address corner. I think, and maybe possibly bring in another lineman or linebacker.
Yeah, I could see them looking at another offensive tackle or a defensive end if the right guy becomes available.
And then let's jump into some recruiting too, because that was a crazy busy weekend on Saturday. Like I said, bus loads of just recruits being in attendance, which brought a lot of eyes to the program on Saturday. But number one, let's start off with Florida State landing a defensive lineman from North Carolina, New Bern to be exact. 6'3", 285 pounds. Keith Sampson picks Florida State and Odell Higgins to play for. He has current offers from Clemson, Alabama, Auburn, Ohio State, Texas A&M, and others. This is a really impressive get, I think, for Florida State and Odell Higgins. Definitely, whenever we got to talk to him, also parents involved too, after the practice saying, this really was Keith's decision. And he told us that, I wanted to make the announcement the next day whenever they came into town, and just wanted to have the family there. Everything worked out there. They talked in the hotel, and the next day they made the announcement that he would be committing to Florida State. And they had multiple visits. Dad was telling me when visited Ohio State and was impressed there. But there's just something about Odell Haggins that Keith really, really liked. But what do y'all think about that pickup there on the defensive line? And just one more thing, the trenches, man, it seems like there's a lot of focus. They had a lot of big guys in town over the weekend.
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, honestly, I didn't really expect him to commit this early, let alone to Florida State. Like you said, he was in the midst of a long visit tour. He was actually going to be at Clemson this weekend, but with him going ahead and committing to Florida State, he said that he shut his recruitment down. He's not going to be taking any other visits, and he's just focused on doing what he needs to do to get to FSU. But it's a huge pickup because obviously getting some guys on the interior and on the edge is a huge focus, and he's really one of the top interior defensive linemen in this class and going to be great, coupled with Lamont Green Jr. as well as some other guys down the line.
So who's the last high school tackle, like blue chip defensive lineman tackle that FSU signed?
Thinking about guys currently on the roster.
Was Cooper 4-star?
Guys that weren't transfers.
It could be.
It might be Cooper.
Love it. I mean, the transfer portal has really helped Florida State.
If you count transfers, then it's probably.
I'm talking about
like a true recruit.
High school level. So,
someone in the chat will tell us. Definitely.
This guy's better than Cooper.
Coming out of high school.
Yeah, coming out of high school.
Right now he's going. Coop, if you're listening, make sure you're.
I mean,
check those calves.
There should be no offense to that. I mean, but they play also in different positions. Cooper is a nose tackle. This guy's a D tackle. But for FSU to get this kid to commit was huge, like Dustin said, because he's a really good player who, FSU beat out some really good programs, and he's liked FSU. When he talked about when he put out his first top 5 list, FSU wasn't on there. As soon as he put it out, Odell Haggins was on the phone with him, talking about, hey, just come down and see us. You're gonna like what you see, and I think that Sampson connects with him because one, Odell, a motivated Odell is hard to beat out, and then two, he stayed true to what he was talking about. So Sampson liked FSU, and then coming into the visit, and his family liked it. So huge gift for Florida State. But yeah, Logan, like you said, that was the first thing I was going to talk about. So you have him in town, you have Ruben Bain in town, you have Jordan Hall, you have Vic Burley, who's a 5-star. You have Will Norman, who's a high 4-star.
Falk.
You have Wilkie Denard. I mean, you have so many defensive linemen in town this weekend. True elite level guys that were in town that all are seriously considering Florida State. They've done a great job of casting a net, and that's one thing I think we're seeing the staff do with a lot of positions. Wide receiver. We were kind of talking about that before we jumped on the podcast. Is how many options there are, and they cast a wide net at D tackle this cycle, and there's a lot of really good options. For Burley, Dustin and I were talking about. We hadn't seen Burley. We thought he decided not to come, and he just had another great visit, and mentioned he's going to come back. So, Will Norman decided to stay in town instead of going to LSU and turned it into a whole weekend visit.
Keep an eye on that one.
Yep. Jordan Hall, who loves FSU, but seems like he wants to go through the recruitment process. There's a lot of great options, and there was a lot of great talent that was in Tallahassee on Saturday.
Yeah, and you didn't even mention Wilkie Denard, and I really do think he might be the next guy to jump on board. He was really favorable of Florida State during his interview afterwards. And he was asked if he thought about committing, and he's like, I did. And he's like, he wants to take visits first, but he's like, it could happen. You never know. So
he did say that something could happen very soon.
Right.
By the way, Nate, I looked back just at your defensive tackle question real quick. Who was the last blue chip? Technically, Sean Bray Jackson ended up a 4-star. But before that, Dennis Burks and Coop were both 4-stars in the 2018 class.
Hey, that's what. See, now that basketball's dwindled away from us, sadly, you can be that one guy always on the shows and podcasts. It gives us what we need.
Gives the stats.
Yeah, give the stats that we need.
Well, also, it kind of proves, Florida State should always land those guys. And to land one here, 3 over a 5-year span is not what typically FSU's had. And it seems like there's a really big effort to change that this cycle. It's going to be a smaller class, but there's going to be it's shaping up to be a really solid class early on.
I just can't believe Austin's engaged in an FSU recruiting conversation.
I wasn't listening to the recruiting part. I was focused on, players that are already on the roster.
Austin, that is true growth.
Listen, man, I'm tired.
or you're just that scorned about the basketball season, and that you want to just dip your toe in a little bit of success.
No.
As the
8 wins.
The wins have righted the sails, and FSU basketball is back to being
FSU basketball
okay. And
FSU
the football team is going to be back because that's how it has to be.
Basketball would be fine. I'm not worried about the long-term future of this program.
I don't think anyone is, Matt.
At all.
Yeah, I was going to say, just jumping in here too. The guys are just pumping out recruiting interviews, and we're texting them to you guys. So if you guys want recruiting scoop and spring practice updates, 850-616-8661.
Feel bad for them.
Yeah, text that number. I feel bad, but they're great interviews so far. So definitely text that number.
But yeah, I think Wookie, I that's a sooner rather than later. Tyler Jeffries had another great visit. One of the offensive linemen that was in town from Alcoa, Tennessee.
We didn't even mention Darren Reed. I just forgot about that.
Darren Reed.
Yep, I was gonna go back to him, but yeah,
I know if I had missed it. God,
that just shows how much damn depth and people that were in town.
I think
wide receiver, a lot of legit options.
Wait. Recap the defensive line because I got a question for wide receiver since we talked about that in the production meeting. But finish off D line real quick.
I guess just sticking with the defensive line, I think Darren Reed is another guy that could wind up committing to Florida State down the line. His current plans are to release a top list in March, but really FSU's been the school standing out with him from the jump. They were the first school to offer. He's got a great relationship with Coach Norvell.
He's been there, 3 times now? 2 or 3 times?
He's been there more than that. I think it might be about 5 times. And the thing that really helps is Ryan Bartow has a pretty good connection over there to that high school, which I don't know what that was. But that's helped get Reed and Kelton Smith to campus. And, Florida State, Kelton Smith came right out and said it, that FSU's leading right now. Darren Reed, a little bit more coy, but those guys have flat out said they plan to play at the next level together as long as everything goes right. And I've got no reason to believe that won't be at Florida State. And the guy that FSU probably made the most ground with this weekend, Nate, you mentioned him earlier, Will Norman, got him in from IMG Academy. And, he said he came really just to have fun on the visit. And as he was at Florida State, he began to take them more seriously, had some extended talks with the coaching staff, canceled that visit to LSU, like you said, Nate. And it sounds like he could be eyeing a return, popping back up in Tallahassee on April 9th for the spring game. And obviously that connection with Duffy over at IMG definitely helps, but getting him here in person, spending some time with the coaching staff as well as players. I know he was around Derek McClendon a ton over the weekend, really opened his eyes to Florida State being a legitimate option for him. And then Keldrick Falk as well, another guy, probably a top 120 player. Really, it's Auburn, Alabama, FSU, because he's a guy coming out of Alabama. Said FSU's right there in the top 3. And what really surprised me about him is he said his best relationship on the coaching staff is with offensive analyst Austin Tucker. dating back to whenever COVID started. He started calling FSU, trying to build a relationship, and he said Coach Tucker was the guy that always picked up. So they've talked every week for almost 2 years now, which gives Florida State definitely an interesting inside track to that recruitment. He walked him and his family out to the car afterwards, Coach Tucker.
Wow. I was going to say, too, Will Norman, I think that, spending that much time this past weekend, along with seeing some of the former Noles, the only reason I really found out was through social media and seeing pictures. But you saw D-Mac over there with them all throughout the weekend, seeing Tallahassee, and then also being able to also hang out with some former Noles, Joshua Kane Doe, J-Rob. You also had, I believe, P.J. Williams was there in it. I'll try to look, but there was a handful of former Noles. Yeah, I think all the former Noles all kind of went to the same place afterwards.
I didn't recognize Will Norman because he cut off his dreads, his braids. I was trying to figure out who he was. He looks like a damn college player right now.
Yeah, no, he's got size. Size is right there for sure.
He had a good time with Bartow out there. They were doing some little photo shoots and posing and stuff.
Yeah,
having a good time.
I'm going to say let's jump into wide receivers too, because like you guys were saying in the production, I mean, this one's going to be a storyline to follow, at least this unit, because there's so many guys talented. You got Hakeem Williams, you got Santana Fleming. You also had Ennis here too, but you had some top tier talent in town. Brown too, who's local, who has really close ties, and really likes Florida State and wants to. That's a dream school for him, and the staff really believes in him. But maybe let's talk some wide receiver here, D-Lou. This one's going to be interesting, I think, and this will lead kind of into Chris Parson, because you're hearing things from Parson here and there and stuff. So I don't know if whatever kind of scoop you can give to the reader or the listeners, but you just definitely have a good connection there with maybe understanding who Parson's after too.
For sure. I mean, I really think this one, it's get on board while you can, because the spots are going to fill up. There's just so many guys that Florida State is looking at wide receiver. They've already got Nate, mute your damn mic. They've already got Vondravius Jacobs committed. And then there were a couple guys on campus this weekend that are definitely priority targets, like Santana Fleming. We mentioned Ennis, but I'm not really going to talk about him because he's not coming to Florida State. That's a really unrealistic option. But Darren Lawrence was here, Adam Hopkins, a longtime target for Florida State. You mentioned Keon Brown. So really some guys that could wind up in this class when it's all said and done. And, Keon Brown's a guy that I've really liked, and I've gotten the chance to see him compete in person at Under Armour Atlanta a couple of weeks ago. And, I've just been keeping up with his recruitment. And really, Florida State, they've definitely made him a priority. He's already been back on campus this week. He was there on Monday to check out another spring practice. It helps that he's just 10 or 15 minutes down the road. But he's a guy I really like. Santana Fleming back on campus for the first time this offseason with that group from the South Florida Express. Got to meet with Coach Dugans, got to visit again. Florida State definitely in it for him, but the thing is he wants to wait until December. And, if guys want to hop on board before then, who knows if Florida State's going to wait around. I think they would wait around for Hakeem Williams, but I'm not sure about Fleming. And then Darren Lawrence as well. FSU starting to build that relationship. Chris Parson has been talking to him a lot. He's going to get back to campus soon with his mother. So another high target.
There's too many good options to wait right now. So we'll see how it unfolds.
So who do you think they'd wait on, Nate? They'd wait on Hakeem, and then they'd wait on Jalen Brown?
I think you wait on, legitimate options that you wait on Jalen Brown, who I think is the top wide receiver in the country. I think you wait on Hakeem Williams, and I think you wait on Brendan Innes. If that were to unfold, everything else is, kind of a first come, first serve.
I didn't get the chance to. Go ahead. I didn't get the chance to catch up with Adam Hopkins, but I was there to catch Hakeem Williams on Saturday, and this is one where, in my opinion, it's kind of like a Florida State-Miami battle. He's been to Miami a couple of times this offseason already. This is his first time at FSU. but he's got that connection. Former teammate Omar Graham Jr., Chris Parson has definitely been recruiting him hard. He's got a decent little relationship with Coach Dugans as well. And he arrived on Sunday, came with his coaches, his mother as well, fresh off a basketball state championship that he won on Saturday night. It was actually a really busy weekend for him. He visited Gainesville on Friday, played in Lakeland on Saturday, won the state championship with Stranahan High School, and then he was at Florida State on Sunday for probably about 6 hours or so on that unofficial visit. But Mike Norvell went out there, welcomed him and his family to campus, walked them to the Moore, and then Florida State had the entire staff sitting right there in the front of the Moore. So when him and his family walked in, they let out a giant cheer, applause. Chris Parson actually let me know that he was there as well. And whenever he walked in, Hakeem walked right up to him and dapped him up and, said, "What's up?" So it sounded like everything went really well. He talked to us afterwards and said that he and his mother had a really good conversation with Coach Norvell and that he's excited to get back to Florida State again. So I think this visit really cemented them as being a legitimate contender for Hakeem Williams.
And that's not even, not even talking about a guy like Kevin Concepcion from
That's a good point.
From Charlotte, who, said that this is the best visit he's been on. He's teammates with Dalen Smothers, who's one of, my top running backs that I really like in this class. There's just a lot of targets that Florida State is again, casting that net to really land what they need in this class. So you can always depend on the transfer portal to land 4 guys. They need some high school kids in this class, and the next few years in Florida is completely stacked along. I know that
someone's getting shot back there in Nate's house or something.
No, it's my kid playing with a freaking space shuttle. She just got back from Kennedy, so relax. Everyone relax.
Getting shot. I didn't want you to get shot.
But you look at the 24 class. Some rainies came out this week. Florida's just stacked again. So there's a lot of good options.
What about Connor Strode? Did anybody catch up?
I don't think he
was here. No, I don't believe so. No.
But Adam Hopkins kind of dipped in and dipped out.
Yeah, I don't think he did interviews with anybody.
No, I didn't see him after the practice. I think he was in
quick.
and out.
Mm-hmm. And just to kind of maybe wrap up things or whatever, I know Parson was in attendance and everything, and maybe how did that visit go for him? We got to speak with him and his family afterwards. We were invited to James Coleman's NIL panel that he had with a lot of actual current commits, along with some targets too, who I think are close to probably deciding to go with Florida State. Really shout out to James Coleman for inviting us to that, which was a great event. Also got to see Keith Sampson and talk with his family. But, Parson brought a notepad and was taking down notes for that, because I think not only are the players, but I think more than anything, the family members have a ton of questions regarding all of this NIL stuff, because it really starts jumping after you're done with football. And if nobody's playing basketball or track, you really start jumping into these NIL opportunities when you're going into college. But anyways, how did, Parsons' visit go? This is not really for me, nonetheless. I'm not worried about Parson and the recruitment there. Now, to me, the biggest question marks is who's he after, and how are those relationships being built as a staff, allowing him to go in and say, is the staff telling him, hey, I want this right here, I want this over here, I want this wide receiver for you to go after, I want this offensive lineman, can you contact? How has that kind of been for Parson, having a big weekend of big mammals and big guys there, and definitely a lot of good talent in front of him to work with, as being a true bell cow now? This is now his job to do, is to come into Tallahassee and be a recruiter for Florida State.
Yeah, the weekend went very well. Like I said earlier, he talked to pretty much all of those wide receivers that I mentioned. Chris is texting them on the reg and building relationships with those guys and doing what he can to try and get them to end up at Florida State. And I mean, the same thing with offensive linemen. He's personally reaching out to guys, building friendships with them, trying to get them to come visit to Florida State so that they can see what he's seen and make that decision to join him in the tribe. So, I mean, he's really doing all that he can. And to your point on the recruiting, that was one thing he said on Sunday about why he loves this Florida State coaching staff is that they've really let him be involved in these efforts, So not only are they telling him like, hey, can you talk to this guy? We're really interested in him. They've said to him, if there's a guy that you like, let us know. And then, we'll take a look at him and see what could happen. So he's been bringing guys that don't have FSU offers or maybe that the coaching staff doesn't know about and putting them on those guys as well. So really it's a dual effort between Chris Parson and the coaching staff, and he's definitely unique. He's definitely unique in the class when it comes to his ability to recruit. I don't think there's another guy committed right now that's like him. He's really the guy going out there trying to build this thing and really focused on the offense, especially right now with how many guys are at wide receiver and how many guys are at offensive line that really like Florida State. And as for the visit, everything went really well. The main thing for him this time around was to get a feel for Coach Tokarz, because he committed whenever Kenny Dillingham was still the offensive coordinator at Florida State. Since then, he's at Oregon. Tokarz has been promoted to quarterbacks coach, and they have a really good connection off the field, talking with one another. This was his first time to get a good couple of hours sitting down behind Tokarz, listening to him coach up A.J. Duffy, Jordan Travis, and learning more about his coaching style. And he said it all went really well. He really liked what he saw from Tokarz, and he paid special attention to how they were working with A.J. Duffy because he's going to be in that same scenario a year from now. So just a really mature mindset, already be thinking about stuff like that. And like you said, he was at the NIL meeting as well. It all went really well for Chris Parson. I mean, I didn't even ask him, hey, where's your commitment stand after this visit? We don't do that type of stuff anymore. But he did tell me, dating back to his childhood, this was his 11th visit to Florida State. And he's like, every visit I take is better than the last one. He said he sat down with Coach Norvell, and whenever they speak, it always just reaffirms why he committed to Florida State.
Well, listen, the true test of Chris is wearing the all whites this year. The all whites are the best uniform Florida State has right now.
I got some good pictures in them.
Let's find the pictures real quick. Yeah, those are clean.
So,
I'm working on that one. I'm talking to a few people, and Florida State was supposed to get the order in last year. A factory burnt down or some serious bad luck, and then I get to have those white helmets. But I've been told that I'll be the first person to know. We can maybe get the first chance to report
that is happening. Just a phenomenal.
That's my biggest thing I could break ever in my life, and it probably honestly will be. But yeah, no, the all whites are clean. He had a photo shoot too here, but not only that, these cleats are dirty. I noticed some of them. Robert Cooper had some cleats on. That's saying something for defensive linemen. Usually it's the skill guys, but these cleats are clean.
No, but I was watching Chris on Saturday. He was super interactive with all the recruits, man. He was up and down the sideline talking to everyone, very active. So, just my opinion, I think that, there should be no questions about, his commitment status.
Yeah, not only is he talking to these recruits, but he's talking to their families as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's really he's doing whatever he can to build those connections.
I gotta shout out to the little collab that we did. Really, it was a collaboration with Florida State, kind of, not really, but they got some Sports Illustrated stuff here. So Sports Illustrated love, but we collaborated on Instagram here and came up with a caption. But yeah, pretty cool little thing here. So this was from LeBron James's Sports Illustrated cover from, I believe, 2002. And you got to see Parsons right here, the chosen one. So the media department really killing it too. Not only that, but in video too. So shout out to Florida State, to a few of those guys that also listen to the show. We've kind of found out since hearing our voices in some of the videos, but shout out to them. These are some really cool graphics. The media department, definitely putting in some work behind the scenes, definitely with recruits and getting not only, these. Usually it took about a day or two for these graphics or these photos to go out. But, man, these photos are going out quick. We're talking the day of, maybe just a couple hours after visits. And that's saying something. That's like, man, I can post that right away. You keep that energy going. The vibes are good, and guys are more willing to post it to their socials. And
these kids, they want them edits quick,
Yep. Quicker the better. That's how it is in anything nowadays, man. You got to get it quick.
But we're quick. There were a couple... Damian Fagan, Damari Brown. There were a couple really good defensive backs that were in town too. So overall, I think it was a great event for Florida State. So, I think for the spring game, it's going to be interesting to see how many kids they have on campus.
Mm-hmm.
They had at least 75, I think, on Saturday. 50 to 75.
There was a lot. And there was a lot on Wednesday too, man. There was a lot on Wednesday.
There's going to be a lot this Saturday. I've been doing the list, and it's already getting close to like 50 guys, and that's not counting whoever shows up I don't even know about.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going out there, D-Lou? I think you were saying you were, maybe potentially.
Yeah, I'll be there. It's looking like it's going to be a cold one.
Don't be so happy about it. Jeez.
I know, right? Dang. Everybody don't. And if you're a crew, don't go near Dustin. He does not want to be there.
Well, I look ahead at the weather, and if it's going to be cold or if it's going to be raining all day, man, it's going to be miserable out there. But
it won't be bad. By 10 o'clock, it's going to be like.
Hopefully, they'll let us in the more, and we can just all huddle in there together.
In the bathroom only.
Okay.
You got to hang out in the bathroom.
There's a lot of space in there, so.
You've been in there a lot.
It's a nice bathroom.
That bathroom knows us very well after this last weekend. In and out. But luckily the staff, that's one thing I will say, out of the staff, and this is Norvell, and this is what he does, but the staff, they greet you, they say hey to you, they don't just ignore you and be some certain where they're just nice people, and they come up and greet you. They'll even be nice and tell you heads up, we've got blah blah arriving soon, and it's kind of a helping each other kind of thing, and that's something nice about the staff. I will mention that something starts off with Norvell. It wasn't that way under the Fisher era. I can go ahead and tell you that it was not like that. So not even close. So just something to put there. It's been nice, getting some conversations with some of them, just little small ones. Sure. Anything else, gentlemen? I mean, this was, I thought, a really good informative pod of the start of spring camp and recruiting wise. I mean, I was looking forward to doing this because I just was ready just to tell everybody on here and all the listeners, but what a wild week. I think we're all still kind of recovering, but got to keep going. And like I said, we're going to have a break next week. So we won't be here live. So enjoy this episode. I know it will be brutal, but we have 131 watching right now on YouTube alone. So if you're on YouTube, hit that like button. I think we could hit 75. We're at 63 likes. If you could hit that,
help us out, y'all. Come on.
Yeah, help us out. We definitely.
I'm tired of hearing Logan ask him every week about the likes.
I'm gonna keep on asking until we have 100,000 subscribers. But hit the subscribe button too. Hit the subscribe button. There's a lot of content now. I mean, I got a camera now. I've got a nice camera, and these two things right here. I mean, we're getting crazy. I got binoculars, and these are two wireless mics that might be doing instant kind of recaps after practice and posting to YouTube later on in spring camp. So these are badass right here. So a lot of content may be coming more to YouTube for you guys. I don't really want to just upload interviews. That's kind of repetitive. But if we could do maybe an instant recap, you guys let us know in the comments if you would like that after a practice for about 15 minutes.
I think between Dustin and I, we have 15 more interviews to type up.
Yeah,
I've got.
Better get knocked out before this weekend.
I'm doing Smothers, right?
Yeah, because I deleted it.
Yeah, that means I've got 7 more to do tonight.
Got a little lapel pen I can wear now. I can really look like a friggin' nerd. I mean, I wasn't looking that way either way, anyways. But not like anything changed. But good thing it doesn't work. But sorry, I'm just showing off some cool nerdy gadgets.
I will say the last thing on recruiting, I want to see the the running back board and the tight end boards continue to develop a little bit. You know,
linebacker.
Yeah, linebacker for sure, but I mean, even running back, you know, it was a little concerning that Smothers was really the only legitimate FSU target there, running back wise. So those boards need to branch out a little bit.
I think there was 0 linebackers.
You had Bobby Washington.
Raul Guire was
I don't think he made it.
No, he didn't.
Yeah. And Bobby Washington doesn't have an offer yet, so he's more of an evaluation guy.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just have to see. And I mean, same thing with running back. You know, you're probably not going to get Richard Young or Cedric Baxter at this point. I think it's safe to say start looking elsewhere, which is why they're targeting Smothers so much. But you need guys behind that. They've got a really good one coming in this weekend, a guy I like a ton. Dante Dowdell from Mississippi. Saw him at UA Atlanta a couple of weeks ago, and he really popped out to me. So I'm interested to hear how the visit goes.
VZ, do you want to say anything, or do you just want to give it a week? Do you want to take a break and then give your season recap later?
Apparently, we're taking a break next week.
Yeah, so you can. That's what I'm saying. You have an extra break.
I mean, we at least got to mention it.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, you did it wrong, bro. Devastated to feel good.
Devastated to feel good. I don't know why I didn't say. There we go.
It's pretty accurate.
Wait, let's do this right here. There we go.
Does it feel like you've been punched in the stomach, Austin?
Dude, it was.
Oh, damn. Too soon. My man Wyatt Wilkes.
Real gut punch.
Hopefully, yeah.
Because after Saturday, you know, we're feeling good after the NC State game. You won 3 straight. Offense looked good. You know, Syracuse comes into this game having lost 4 straight, having collapsed against Miami. You know, you're feeling kind of good, especially because the 2 games in the regular season were pretty close. And you're thinking, well, the only reason FSU lost the first game against Syracuse was they went 4 of 30 from 3. Surely that can't happen again. Yeah, they went 2 of 25, which is a blistering 8%. It's as poor of a shooting performance as I've ever seen. I think it's bottom 10 all time in KenPom's history for Florida State basketball, which is dating back to like 2000 for effective field goal percentage. It was just a horrible game. You know, guys weren't getting back in transition. Guys weren't making shots. Syracuse was killing us on the glass, and they're not that good of a rebounding team. It was just one of those games where you're like, what happened to this team? What happened to this team that just played on Saturday? You know, I think a lot of people thought FSU might have been able to make a run if, you know, they started heating up. Instead, it was almost Boston College. They were 2 points away from being in the semifinals. So it was just a weird game. I hate that I took yesterday off to watch that game. It's really all I could say about it. Now we have to see if they'll get a NIT bid, which I think they'll get invited. I don't know if they'll accept it.
Please don't.
I wouldn't be wrap it up.
Oh yeah, at this point I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, let's just get healthy, because they've got so many guys that are banged up, playing through injury. Just get healthy. I wouldn't blame them. But if anyone's curious, I think they'll at least get the invite. It seems that South Carolina is going to get invited, and South Carolina and Florida State are very similar. So, we'll see if they accept it.
Might not be over, gentlemen and ladies.
We'll see if they accept it. We will find out Sunday at 9:00. That is when the NIT selection show is for the 3 people that care.
9 p.m. or 9 a.m.?
9 p.m. Because it's got to be after the regular selection show, obviously.
I got a random question.
I'm changing all my plans, by the way, for that selection show. I'm changing everything. I had like plans to go go on a yacht and like get like fed
I might be hibachi, but that day, so
I'm canceling all my plans to watch that selection show. Just putting it out there. Go ahead, Nate.
Does it? I guess how I want to ask it. Doesn't Leonard Hamilton usually take this team, you know, outside the country every couple of years?
So every NCAA basketball team gets a foreign trip every 4 years. So the last one was my year. 18
or 19.
It was
Jamaica.
When was that? I got to go back and look. Hold on. Let me go through photos. Because I was on that trip.
4 years has got to be coming up, but I mean, who knows if
it may have been the COVID year.
Damn.
Let me see. I think it was summer of 2018. Let me double check.
Hit the mic button.
My question is, man, this team needs some time, as much time as possible to gel.
Yeah, they do.
Whether it's more like a chance to go to South America and travel there and play there, but this team needs more time together.
They do. They really do.
That wasn't a question, Nate. That was a statement.
Well, no, because he was talking about their overseas.
But he didn't ask one question the whole time.
No, he did.
It was one long sentence.
Was it 2019? There's no way it was 2019.
Man, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
You had your shot.
Yeah, Dustin and Nate got to meet each other for the first time in person.
I saw that picture. That picture was hilarious.
There was a lot of slapping the necks, though, Austin.
I came up with that idea.
No, I said, let me get a picture for Here the Spear.
And then I was like,
you're like, yeah.
I was like, yeah, Nate choked me out.
Oh my, what? Pause.
What?
Whoa. Okay, what? There goes all of our potential sponsors there. I think there is actually a sponsor now. I think they started this.
We don't have no sponsor.
Drizzly, baby. Drizzly. Y'all don't know about it, but I already did the ad run.
It should not take me this long to find pictures.
While Austin's fumbling around, I will say that Carolina Gold is overrated.
What?
I'm not the biggest fan of Carolina Gold either.
So I went there. So here's the deal. Let me tell you guys real quick. So we're talking wings now. We're sorry, Austin. I know while VZ's going through his time hop.
No, I found it. It was summer of 2017. So COVID canceled it last year.
Breaking news, SI, go there now. We'll get the story in a few. That's the latest. But anyways, we went to Hobbit, VZ, and these two dweebs, of course, get their not boneless. It's chicken wings with sauce on them. They didn't even finish their food.
What?
They didn't even finish all. They had like 3 or 4 wings left.
I finished mine.
3 or 4 wings.
I had 2 left.
I don't know about that.
I got 15.
Okay, finish it like a man.
Finish it like a real true man does.
I tell you what, I crushed those churros though. They were damn good.
Yeah, you brought those home, didn't you?
Yeah.
Me and Nate were trying to drive up the check, so he got 2 orders of churros to go and brought them back to his hotel.
Yeah.
Why does that not surprise me?
I don't know, but yeah, no, we had some. I had real wings, VZ. I had.
What was final total on that
nuggets.
check?
It was a clean 100, clean hundo. Damn. We burned.
Should have spent more
for 3 of y'all.
Yeah,
dude, Hobbit's expensive.
No, these boys, they had appetite. They bought. Now they knew I was paying. They bought the appetizers. Nate even got a beer. I had to have a beer after that day. I mean,
I needed it, but that thing was making me tired, dude.
Oh yeah, no, it knocked you out. You're like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to finish it. I'm about to pass out.
At Hobbit. That's impressive for 3 people. That's impressive, honestly.
Well, but now that you see the
really
wing,
not,
the wing
Hobbit is overpriced.
Yeah,
well,
there is a wing shortage. I forgot about that.
The wing shortage is still going on. This stuff, we'll end it on this too because I know
I felt bad for our server for that team next to us, man. They're running him like a dog, man.
Oh, that they had like 18 people over there, all drunk kids.
Just wandering around the restaurant.
No thanks.
Just wandering, just throwing
every single
darts.
time.
Walk over there, throw 1 dart, then walk and sit back down.
Can I get inside the ranch? I'll come back. I need a ranch. These other guys just shoot me now.
Yeah. Blake is making sure that his comment's seen because he's put it in here 4 times back to back. So, we've talked with Florida State's SIDs. We haven't seen Brownlee at practice. That's all we can really say from now. We'll see if there will be something public that the Florida State says or anything, but that's the case right now. We'll see if anything develops there. From what I do know, though, and I can speak on this, is that it's not NIL related. I know there was some talks about it on Twitter, and FSU Twitter is going crazy. But from what I know, it's not NIL related, but we'll just see once something's official from Florida State
quit
side.
answering Blake's question.
Yeah,
he's going to be a douche.
He's being rude. Look, he's being rude.
We're finishing up our podcast here, buddy. This is when we tell our funny stories for the week. So,
oh damn, yeah.
Listen to the last hour and a half if you want.
Listen, Hobbit is a part of Florida State. All right.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about wings if we want to talk about wings.
We've had how many alumni Noles come in here?
Frame your question and then be a jerk in the comments.
Blake. Listen, man. The simple fact is that sometimes you can't answer questions because it jeopardizes things called credentials. So we can't answer that. Use your brain. He's not at Florida State. That means something happened. And there's a possibility that he'll be back. There's a possibility he won't be back. So it's 50-50. Is that a good answer for you, Blake?
Thank you, Blake. Wow, we had a feisty one in here today. I love being an hour and a half late, too. You kind of missed everything there, but do appreciate you giving us the view for the day. And thank you for commenting 80,000 times, too. I was trying to be nice. But Blake, go eat a bag of certain items. Anyways, let's end off the podcast. I hope everybody has a great rest of their week. Like I said,
let's talk
we have
about
the week
wings
off.
for 10 more minutes, man.
I'm gonna be. Yeah, let's talk about wings now for 30 minutes now. Now, when we come back, we're talking a full hour of wings when we come back. But hey,
we're not taking a break next week. We're going to have a wing podcast.
Well, I will be taking a break and
you're
some
supposed
pretty
to have
waters.
a boneless wing theme song, apparently.
No, I have something in the works. I already told Dustin.
It's been in the works
Logan.
for 2 months now.
No. This is like the real deal.
All right, whatever.
Don't know what
He's got a plan.
Close it off, Logan.
There you go. Yeah, we got a little blockage there. I love Miss Carol. Miss Carol is always the best. Wing it. Exactly, Miss Carol. We love wings here. But yeah, we won't be here next week. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. 75 likes tonight. I don't think I've seen that ever. So 75 likes. I think we topped like 140 viewers on YouTube. Facebook was doing its thing. So appreciate everybody hanging out with us to kick off. Yeah, the spring camp. Everybody worked their tails off too. And shout out to VZ too on a great season. If it is over, if it is.
Was it really a great season?
Your coverage, yeah. I mean, your coverage writing like 2,000 words about, whatever game that maybe people are interested in reading. VZ does put in some work, and he traveled to a lot of games too. First time this season that he was able to. So definitely shout out to VZ. That is true. That is very true.
I've made an executive decision. Austin, you cannot come to LSU.
It's too late.
Damn. Oh God! If Easy comes, I'm gonna be so ticked off. I want to hang out with Easy. I want to hang out with you. You can hang out with us. We can go for drinks. You can have your milk. I'll have my beer. But you can't go inside the stands.
I'm gonna jump you, so you can't go.
It's too late. You can't jump me.
It's New Orleans too, so there's some voodoo going on.
It's gonna be a very scary weekend.
I'm gonna get one of those dolls and stab you, Austin.
Hey, but what if that's the game that breaks the curse?
Then I'll give you a hug.
It breaks the streak.
Give you a hug.
It could break the streak. Just think about it. It could be great.
Oh,
if it doesn't, we break your legs.
They're already broken. I'm sorry. You're not accomplishing anything there.
That is true. Yeah, his hips are tough. Definitely after seeing Eric Church and what he did to him in bed. Anyways, let's hop off out of this.
No.
Sorry, I didn't know if you're a groupie girl or something going to 3 back-to-back concerts. I'm sorry.
You got to cut that out, dude.
Dustin took off. Dustin, why do you take away the reaction? This is why we're here. This is a show. We want the reaction. Oh man, thank you, Jay Jackson. This is a good comment here. Listening to you guys is what I think a frat party must be like. Well, I don't know.
I've never attended a frat party in my life, so
I've never been in a frat. I have a few friends that are in a frat, but I've never been in a frat.
What kind of a frat guy would have had those recruiting nuggets? Come on, bro.
Yeah.
What kind of frat guy looks like Dustin?
And then we'll finish it off.
The best type of frat guy.
Well, he looks like a beer guy, but he doesn't drink. Well, no, he didn't have a beer too with us. It was just me and Nate also.
I was dehydrated. I need some sweet tea.
That's gonna help. Then Johnny's gonna finish us off there. We're not gonna go to the bottom comment, but at least Nate, you look cute, and we're gonna end off the podcast there.
What's the bottom comment?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Just cut the podcast before he loads.
It's not really the bottom anymore, but yeah. You enjoy. They're giving you compliments tonight. Oh, there goes Nate. All right, let's end it now while he's looking at it.
It's gonna go look.
All right, everybody enjoy the rest of y'all's weekend. Oh no, not the hair flip with no hair to flip with. All right, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, Thursday night at 8:30. We'll be back giving you guys a recap of spring camp. That's when things are going to be rocking. So we'll have full coverage tomorrow on Friday, and look out for the new little mics I have. I don't know how I'm going to use them, but they're going to be awesome. We've got some pictures too coming also. So appreciate y'all. See y'all in 2 weeks. Peace. Happy spring break.
Mama told me not to say a word. 17.5, same color t-shirt. Mama told me not to sell word. 17.5, same color t-shirt. Mama told me not to sell word. 17.5, same color t-shirt. Mama told me not to sell